I'm Antosh from Rythmik Cocktails. I've been in the hospitality industry in different guises since I was about 17, when I used to book nightclubs with my mate, book DJs, sell tickets, put on nights really. DJ'd and MC'd when I was younger as well, carried on with the DJing, less of the MCing. But after carrying on with nights at uni and stuff like that, I ended up getting a job for Bacardi Brown Foreman, sort of working with lots of bars, selling in the spirits like Woodford Reserve, Bombay Sapphire, Grey Goose, and training bartenders and stuff. And then after a while, I quit to go traveling, came back, ended up in a rubbish sales job. And then one day I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Quit my job and got a job working in a bar just as a bartender, and just worked my way up to, they trained me up to be a manager. It was Colombo Group, who've got a few sites around London. And after a year of that, I found a place that I wanted to open up my own bar. And it was called Claytons. It was in Marlow. It was a place that I used to DJ at before, and then it kind of sort of had a couple of bad owners that had sort of messed it up and been closed for a while. So I had that for 11 years. Started batching cocktails because it was a 180 capacity venue, and wanted to speed up service without compromising the quality of the cocktails. And then during lockdown, people were asking me to deliver cocktails to them. Tash, my sister and business partner, that is a brand strategy director. So she'd worked with loads of different brands, creating brand stories and stuff. And she was like, why don't we do this properly? So we teamed up, joined forces, and started selling the cocktails. That's here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about them.
So they are all bar quality, ready to drink cocktails. So each cocktail has its own playlist to sort of reflect the vibe of what we think the drink is. So, for instance, the Negroni, my vision of a Negroni is sitting on a hot summer's day, maybe outside at the bar or in a cafe or something, drinking it. And so we've got a laid back disco vibe to it. The It's the London things, the ginger and lemongrass gimlet. So uses a London dry gin. So we use house music. It's fresh and uplifting. And so the idea is with all of them, they have their own playlist that creates this experience of what we feel the drink should be. The name. Well, initially we were called Claytons Cocktails because my bar was called Clayton. So it made sense. And we didn't really know when we started it how long we'd do it for. And then after I realised, after I closed the bar, someone else took it on and didn't do such a good job. So we actually wanted to we also realised that outside of Marlow, Claytons didn't really mean too much to anybody. So we're like, right, let's come up with a new name. Ideally, we were looking for something that began with C, but having gone through the alphabet, nothing really stuck. And then we're like, well, let's try and get the music side and the mixing together. And slowly after probably months, we sort of mixed rhythm and mix together and shortened it, abbreviated it to Rythmik. So, even though the logo's like a vinyl with just a bit twisted round, so it creates an R. So that's, it's all about cocktails and music, the mix of music and the mix of the spirits and ingredients.
You've got 5 cocktails in the range. How did you come up with those 5?
Initially, I started batching cocktails because if I went on holiday, I'd always sort of buy the ingredients for a Negroni and just have them there when I was on holiday. Then sort of with the bar, because I was trying to speed up service, I'd batch all the elements of the cocktails that you could, and the ones that I could batch completely, they were the ones I started off with because they worked really well. They didn't taste inferior because they're bottled. I'd never try and bottle a mojito because it doesn't taste right without fresh mint. But a Negroni, gin, Campari, sweet vermouth, it just tastes equally as good whether you make it fresh or not, and it just stayed consistent. So we started with a Negroni. The It's a London thing that worked really well, bottled, and then so it's a mix of drinks I love and ones. First of all, I have to love them because it's my palate. So if it doesn't taste right, like it's not going to work. So yeah, like they're drinks that I love basically. So sometimes they're variations of classics. So we've got rum old fashioned because I love like rum, I love Mount Gay Black Barrel rum, which is what we use in there. Espresso martini. It's just like everybody was asking. We started off with a Negroni and the It's a London thing, and then everybody kept asking for an espresso martini. So I was like, okay, how do I do that without fresh espresso? But then worked with loads of different cold brew coffees, tried different, I used to put Baileys in the one at the bar, and then I switched it for a salted caramel vodka liqueur, and that just worked really well. So yeah, launched that one. The red grapefruit margarita, I was actually working on a different cocktail, and then someone sent me a bottle of Pampel. It's like a red grapefruit aperitif, and tweaked it around, and then it just tasted really good. So carried on with that, and then we have limited editions from time to time, and yeah, those ones. Yeah, it's kind of things I like. I'm not very good. I'm a good salesman if I like it. I can't sell anything if I don't like it. I'm really obvious if I'm lying. So, so if anybody ever wants like a true opinion of like whether something looks good on them or something's any good, then I'm a good person to ask But then people don't always hear the thing they want. But as my wife knows, yeah.
So, how does somebody go about bottling cocktails?
Well, we kind of sort of not made it up as we go along. At the beginning, it was making it up as I go along, just sort of I just bought some big jars and stirred them in there. And I'd start off by making an individual cocktail and then working out all the dilution and then scaling it up, seeing it worked into sort of 4 or 5 litre versions. And then up until sort of mid last year, I was still doing tiny little 5 litre batches, but just doing lots of them. And then last year we did it on a bigger scale of like 200 litres. And thankfully, it tasted all right because there's like thousands of pounds worth of stock in there. But yeah, it's a case of like trying it on a smaller scale, tweaking bits and pieces, seeing how things work, and trying the right ingredients because certain things batch well. Other things, like I've done things with passion fruit before, and then it just separates and it looks disgusting. Or like when I started making the espresso martini, I used to put Baileys in it, but then it looked like someone had been sick at the top of the bottle. So there's like adjusting it so it tastes like amazing, but also it doesn't. It's got to look nice in the bottle, otherwise no one's going to buy it. So.
Talk us through the design, because each bottle is quite different. So talk us through the design process.
Cool. So yeah, like each one we create, we kind of think about the playlist, we think about the occasion. As I mentioned about the Negroni, we're thinking, okay, sort of think Italy, think sitting outside a cafe, think like drinking it on a sunny day. And then what music would you be listening to whilst you're drinking it? So that's why we thought, like disco edits, not like sort of car wash vibes, but as in like a cool disco-y sounds. There was a whole like Italian disco scene as well, so that fit. And then we were thinking, okay, what colours go with that? So we'd like look at record labels, we'd look at fonts. So with a Negroni, it's like a sunset, and that's why the colours of it kind of represent that. Espresso martini, sort of thinking luxury, like early evening drink, like I like to have an espresso martini like the beginning of the night, because if I have one too late, I'll just stay up all night. So it kind of gives you like a boost, but we think it's sort of luxury because it's got that velvety feel. So it's like black because of the coffee. The music's sort of electronic soul, so sort of like and like lo-fi house. So that's sort of music you'd listen to at the beginning of the evening to sort of get you in the mood, sort of slowly getting louder and louder. And yeah, so all the designs kind of come with the music in mind. We kind of look at the record labels, the style that music has to it in terms of both design and sound. And and even like the Pampelito, we're thinking like we wanted to go down like the sort of like Mexican influence. So the font is actually similar to Mexico 86. It's like a sun sticking out. So we'd like look at sort of Latin record albums, like Latin events, and sort of it's got a bit of Afrobeat in there as well. So we send them off to, once we've got that sort of mood board together, we send it to our designer Chris, and he then sort of bounces back, sends us a few different options, a few different fonts. We look at them, and then we go, yeah, we like that from that one, we like that from that one. Let's see what we can do, and then through sort of going back and forth, we end up on one we like and that we all agree on, and then yeah, then we're there.
And then we're there. So what were the kind of challenges that you faced when setting up the business?
We didn't really know what we were doing. I knew how to make cocktails. I got loads of experience with music. My sister's got loads of experience with branding and like kind of higher level marketing, not the sort of day-to-day stuff, like the sort of tactics of stuff. She'd create brands and help designers come up with like a brand, but like figuring out sort of, I don't know, like, well, first of all, we started making it, trying to sell it into places. Then we realised we need an AWRS license. It's like, oh, okay. It's like learning these things that we had all this experience in other stuff that if we'd carried on with that, we could have done that with our eyes closed. But learning how to make a product, how to get it into a shop, what you need to do to get it into the licensing you need for a shop, that was one thing. Then one of the difficult things was like scaling up, like finding out about like shelf life, so all these things I never needed to know about. And some people, when they've worked in products, they know all this stuff when they start, and then they just go for it, and then they sometimes worry about the other stuff. Or like you get products that they know how to scale it up, but their branding might not be great. But we had all the branding. Our branding was like up here. The cocktails are up here, but like the figuring out how to run like grow a product wasn't there. So it's a lot of learning, a lot of new stuff we've had to learn.
These are bottled cocktails. What's the best way to serve these?
Well, the Negroni, the Pampelita, the rum old fashioned, you just chill them, pour them over ice. That's it. It's a London thing, is designed as a gimlet. So normally we'd in my bar, I served it in a Nicanora glass, ice cold, just poured it in there with like a sprig of mint in there. The espresso martini, you shake it with ice and then pour it into a coupe glass, and it just makes a perfect espresso martini with a froth. So that's it. The idea with all of them is you don't have to add anything. They're best served ice cold with all of them, because that's one element you're missing from getting something off a shelf, is like the coolness, whether you're shaking it or stirring it, you're chilling that drink by that process. So that's thing is already done there. They're already diluted to drinking strength. So you just need to make sure you have a really good ice in there and like a nice garnish to sort of complement it. So, and put the playlist on, obviously.
And how many servings is in each bottle?
So we recommend 100 ml per cocktail. So these ones are 500 ml. So yeah, 5 cocktails.
You've worked in bars and you've had a bar yourself. With so many places up and down the country closing, would you like to give your thoughts on the state of hospitality in this country at the moment?
Yeah, it's just a tough time. It's I think there's some amazing operators out there. There are always amazing people that want to operate and have their own venues, their own cocktail bars, their own restaurants, their own nightclubs, and people want to go to them. But it's harder. I closed my bar because I just didn't think it was, as well as a lifestyle change in doing this. I thought it was, I could just see, I was either sign up for another 5 years, but I couldn't see myself doing it in 5 years' time. It just looked more complicated. I think that like landlords and government have got to do something to sort of take a bit of the strain. I think people have to be more creative. People always want to go out. Always want to go and experience great stuff. It's just people need to earn a living. Like the operators need to earn a good living to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, it's just like a vanity project. And that's how you'll keep the best people in there, by making it profitable for the owners. I don't think like some of the best owners aren't doing it to necessarily make a fortune or have a big chain like Gales or Costa. They just want to create take what they do to people that appreciate it, and obviously they've got to earn a living. So when they stop making a living from it and they're just scraping by, it's not enjoyable anymore. So
You said before that you were DJing. Are you still DJing? Are you out and about?
yeah, bits and pieces. Quite often my sets will end up being in like our stockists, like doing like an event inside one of our shops. Like I did something at Superette in Swains Lane recently, where I DJ'd for 5 hours whilst we were serving cocktails. Or we're the drinks partner for Affordable Arts Fair, and I'm DJing at their sort of after dark late nights, and so quite often it's like amongst the music, because the music I put in the playlist is like my favourite music. So I'm not too. I just want to play the music I like now. I've spent years kind of having like my 180 people, sort of the pressure of making them dance, making them stay there, making them like want. Making them stay there so they buy more drinks, whereas now I just play music just that I want to, and it's generally the music I put in these playlists, because I just spend ages listening to music to try and find the songs. So
Any plans for any other cocktails in the range?
yeah, we're currently designing a label for a maple old fashioned, which we had it as a limited edition, but it was very popular. So we thought, well, let's actually bring it out as a permanent one. So that's going to be with Woodford Reserve, bourbon, and maple syrup and bitters. But yeah, it's a really good one. We've also got we had a cherry amore cocktail. It's like a cross between a whiskey and amaretto sour cherry. So plan is to bring that out again. But this cherry syrup, which I spent ages finding, just isn't made anymore. So I've got to find an alternative to it. So yeah, and then if I think of if I try a cocktail somewhere and I like the taste of it or create anything new, then yeah, just finding the time as well. So
I'd like to get your thoughts on the bottled cocktail market in general. Are the consumers still interested? Is it a growing market?
yeah, I think there's different qualities, and then so some people try some, don't love it, and then that changes their perception of the bottled cocktail. There's some amazing ones out there. And yeah, like it depends on the ingredients, depends on who makes them, obviously. But I think part of when we're sampling, we go out sampling all the time, and when people try them, they're like, "Oh yeah, it does taste like a Negroni should do." There's some skeptical people out there, but once they try it and they like it, they're sort of won over. So part of our process is winning over people onto bottled cocktails, and then it's like trying these ones. So I think as long as the good ones out there keep going out there and getting people to try it, and the people sort of realise that the good ones are out there, then they'll carry on drinking them, and they will stay there as well. So I think there's new brands come in, some brands disappear, some seem to be growing. So you get things like Smirnoff Espresso Martinis on tap, which is interesting. But yeah, like we're here to stay. Like we'll yeah. We've no intentions in sort of being in a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or Asda. We just want to keep making the ones the best we can, and sort of working with like the sort of great shops and stuff we are. We would ideally like a few more online sales, but yeah, like to earn more of a living from it. But yeah, at the moment, just want to keep doing the ones we are.
So where can we buy your cocktails?
Okay, yeah. So firstly, online at rythmik.co.uk, Rythmik with a K. Yeah, we're stocked here at Brityard in London. We're at a couple of shops called Superette. One's in Islington, one's in Swains Lane, Bedford Street Wines, and Monmouth Street Wines in Covent Garden. And then, so we're founded in Buckinghamshire. So we kind of growing a bit in London and a bit in the home county. So there's places around there in Marlow and sort of Amersham and that kind of way and beyond. So yeah,